What's your impression of me?
Yeah. Boys, welcome back.
Okay. It's time for our annual intro. Boys, welcome back. Today, hello, how are you? Welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Sonos Aces. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do a deep dive into them. I'm going to basically tell you guys what I thought of them while I had them versus what you should expect when you purchase them. So we're going to break this video up into two segments. We're going to talk about all the stuff that I didn't like about them, and then we'll talk about all the stuff that I did like about them. So let's start off with the case. So the case is one of my biggest gripes with this thing right off the rip. So as you guys know, the carrying case isn't exactly the smallest thing in the world. It fits the headphones. They're very flush, so they fit into the case with ease. Yeah, so when we look at this case right here, it's like a pancake. Like, it's very hard to kind of justify where you're going to put this thing inside of like a suitcase or like a backpack, because it does take up a lot of real estate. It's not terrible. It's not the worst that I've ever seen for a case, but it's also not like the most friendly. So as we do a deep dive inside the case, not just looking at the outside, the inside is actually pretty cool. It's like a fluorescent green on the inside. Nice touch by Sonos, as well as you guys will notice, I talked about this in my impressions video, but the magnetic cable holder on the inside seems to be very helpful when you're using like USB-C to USB-C to 3.5 with your headphones and you don't want to lose your cables. Throw them right in here, and then as you guys can hear, magnetic. Overall, I give the case like a 6 out of 10. I mean, the case, like I said, isn't the main selling point of these headphones. These are just a complimentary thing they like to throw in there. Most people are going to get their own case, or they just don't care about a case and just throw them in the bag. So the only other thing that I don't like about these headphones is going to be the app. So the app that they give you is going to be the Sonos app, but it's connected to all of their smart speakers, and they just integrated the headphones into the app. So it wasn't specifically made for the headphones. So when you go in there, you have a limited set of options. Like for the EQ, for example, you can only do your bass and your treble. That's it. You can't do your mids. Can't do your highs, can't do your lows. EQ is treble and bass. For $500, I should be able to go in there and edit every little detail of that sound profile. Now, like I said, we own, like my girlfriend said, we do own the AirPod Maxes, and those don't do a really great job either with the EQ, but Apple does have a lot of EQ presets built into the settings app. So it's a little bit more helpful than just turning the bass up to 3 and the treble up to 3. That, as a consumer, is something that I would want. If I'm buying something that comes with hi-fi audio, I want to be able to edit the audio and not just listen to the basic sound profile made in factory. So one thing I actually really like about these is actually how comfortable they are. They're made out of lightweight plastic, so that does help. You know, when you're wearing them for a very long time, you don't really get head fatigue or anything like that. As compared to something like AirPod Maxes, when I put those on, they're very clunky and very heavy on my head because they're made out of aluminum, so they're not made to be lightweight, but they are made to be durable. So that's why they went with the aluminum versus the plastic. Plastic, you get a little bit more leeway because they're a little bit more lightweight. And I did find that if the Sonoses, the only problem I found with them being too light is when I went to the gym with them and I started working out and my head was moving, they were sliding off the ear. They weren't staying on attached very well. So if you're looking for gym headphones, I'd probably steer away from these. But if you're somebody that's going to be stationary, you know, like playing video games, watching TV, stuff like that, they're very comfortable and they're very lightweight. They get the job done, and I really like them. So another thing that I like is I don't know if they took inspiration from the AirPod Maxes, but they also have the frictionless rails on the side that allows for, you know, easy put on, easy take off, easy storage, throw them in the case that we don't like, yada, 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 nice and easy. So then on the top, you have this leather headband that sits very nice and firm on top of the head. It doesn't really pull any hair. It's very comfortable. Like I said, you really don't notice that you're wearing them after about 10, 15 minutes. When you throw the transparency mode on, you don't feel like they completely disappear like the AirPod Maxes do. But they do a pretty good job of, you know, staying in the background, not being too annoying. Like I said, very lightweight. Moving to the ear cups. So Sonos actually did a bold decision here. They went with actual physical buttons, which I actually do appreciate. I kind of like physical buttons versus AirPod Maxes. They just seem to be the kind of headphones that are in that price range that I've had a lot of familiar time with. So I will be using those as reference. So when we look at the outside ear cups, they actually have 6 microphones built in around the entire pair of headphones. And that is for the noise cancellation. Those are noise canceling microphones. So basically, you'll notice that with these, the noise canceling is a lot better than a lot of other headphones. And I can confirm that I really did, like, I was sitting in the car with these, and I had the air conditioning turned all the way up, and I had my radio at about 22 volume, and I couldn't hear anything, and I was watching a podcast. Wasn't listening to music, a podcast with these. Noise canceling, I give them a 9 out of 10. Very good. They don't block out everything. Like, if somebody's standing next to me and they're speaking very loud, I can obviously hear them through the headphones. But basic white noise and basic sounds throughout the city, like if you're walking downtown, you're not going to hear any of that. These are perfect with the noise canceling. So in order to toggle noise canceling versus transparency mode, you'll see that there's a button underneath the Chrome switch, and that's going to be your transparency versus ANC button. You're going to click that once, ANC, click it again, transparent. Then above it, that Chrome button is going to be your volume and your playback media control. So up to turn it up, down to turn it down, and then click once to pause, click again, play, double click next song, 3 times, go back. Nice and simple. And then on the next ear cup, you'll notice that you have the USB-C port, you have the power button, and you have another microphone tucked underneath. So the power button's pretty interesting. If you hold it down for 3 seconds, that's how you power them on. If you hold them down for 7 seconds, that's how you pair it with the new device. If you look on the inside of the ear cups, you're going to notice that there's 2 different colors. So the first color is going to be the left ear cup, which is going to be that green. And then you're going to see that white ear cup, that's going to be the right. They also have ear detection on the inside of the ear cups. Basically, when you put them on, it'll notify the headphones that they're on your head. You take them off, and they're off. Other than that, the design, like I said, is very simple. It's very clean. For Sonos' first attempt at headphones, I actually really do enjoy these. Now, let's get into what you guys came for, the sound quality. I do have to say, for $500, the sound doesn't exactly blow me away, but they're also not, crappy. Like, they don't sound like bad headphones at all. Like, they sound like premium headphones, but I've tried better options. I think that the sound profile that they have, because there's not a lot of customization, you don't really get to use a lot of those drivers that are built into the headphones. These feature 40mm drivers, and you don't really get to take advantage of them because you don't really get to, mess around with them. So they don't take advantage of a lot of soundscaping things, but like I said, they are pretty good. For $500 though, I'd probably do a hard pass on these. If you're somebody that's looking for higher end audio and you're looking around that $300, $400 range, you're gonna find options that are probably equivalent to these. If I had to give you a recommendation, I'd probably still go with the Sony WX Mark Vs. Those would be my personal recommendation, or the Mark IVs. The Mark IVs are still great even in 2024. So as far as battery life goes on these say that they give you about 30 to 40 hours. I can agree that these do last a very long time. I was doing about 4 hours of playback this morning when I was listening to my podcast, and I went from 74% to 68%. They do a lot of playback. These are battery champions. Like when I had these Bluetooth to my TV and I was watching a movie, I only went down 1% for a 2-hour movie. Like, I don't know what these do. I feel like maybe the volume has some kind of play in the battery life. Generally, I like to keep these about 60% because I feel like anything higher, I did notice when you start getting into the 70, 80, and 90s, the audio gets a little bit distorted, especially if you turn those EQs up. So be very careful when you're messing with the EQ not to make it too crazy, because when you turn it up, it will get distorted. I also did plug these into my Xbox controller. Not great. Like I said, I don't recommend premium audio headsets on gaming because the soundscape is very different. I would recommend just getting a gaming headset if you're going to game with these. Other than that, battery life, these are battery champions. They don't last as long as my AirPod Maxes do, because AirPod Maxes have a good way of just kind of, staying alive forever. So to wrap things up, when I look at these Sonoses here, I don't exactly feel like the $500 price tag is worth it. Were they great headphones? Sure. $500 worth? No. I'd probably, if I had to price these out, I'd probably say these would be at $329 to $370 price range option. I'd probably place these around the same price as Beats, even though the Beats Studio Pros are not even close to these. Don't even get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that these are equivalent to Beats, but the Beats are terrible compared to these. But when you put these up against other $500 options, they just can't compete. I will say, Sonos, great job. Great first edition. Let's figure out how we can make these cheaper and then make them more affordable for more consumers. It's been your boy Hightech. Peace.